Hey guys, my name is Jim Havens, co-founder of the Men's March, themensmarch.com. Last Saturday, Mike Pence was honored as a pro-life hero by the leadership of Students for Life at their fundraiser in Naples, Florida. A few months ago in a CBS interview, Pence surprised the pro-life world in sharing that he and his wife have used IVF.
I was interested to read that you and your wife, Karen, underwent IVF therapy. And so
Many times.
Many times. The supposed pro-life hero Mike Pence used IVF, a practice that creates human beings in a laboratory and then kills the unwanted ones or keeps them suspended in time, frozen indefinitely. Currently, there are an estimated 1 million innocent human beings, human embryos, frozen in the U.S. in this high-tech barbarism that treats persons as if they are property. To use or to be in favor of IVF is absolutely not pro-life. Is Mike Pence sorry for using IVF many times? Is he repentant and sharing his story to help others to come to their senses? Unfortunately, no. He made it clear in that same CBS interview that he sees nothing wrong with it, and he falsely categorizes it just as the culture of death does, as a so-called fertility treatment. And he made it clear he is in favor of this pro-death practice remaining legal.
But I fully support fertility treatments, and I think they deserve the protection of the law.
I spoke on the phone to a Students for Life leader the week before the event, requesting at least a public statement from Students for Life leadership denouncing Pence's position on IVF and calling on Pence to change that position. Sadly, they chose instead to look the other way, as if it's no big deal. They decided to double down and just ignore Pence's position on IVF and prop him up as a pro-life hero anyway.
Tonight, I have the honor to introduce to you one of my heroes. And I don't use that word generously. One of my heroes is with us tonight.
One of her heroes, and she wants us to know she really means it. And why?
Vice President Pence remained steadfast, courageous, unapologetic in his convictions.
Steadfast, courageous, unapologetic in his convictions? Actually, that perfectly describes everything that Kristan Hawkins, president of Students for Life, was not in her decision to look the other way and give Mike Pence a pass on his public agreement with the culture of death on IVF. But Mike's her friend, so I guess out of some perceived loyalty or kindness to Mike, she thinks it's fine to overlook the public position he's taken in favor of killing children and treating innocent human lives like property with IVF.
Kristan and I are friends, so she knows the introduction I prefer is a little bit shorter. I'm a Christian, a conservative, a Republican. I'm Mike Pence, and I'm pro-life.
No, Mike, you're not. And a true friend would tell him that, and encourage him to repent of using IVF many times, and encourage him to lead on life for real, and call for an end to IVF, and use his platform to educate Americans on this issue. But instead, Hawkins and Students for Life leadership decided to ignore the obvious hypocrisy that was on display from Mike Pence Saturday night.
We must have the courage of our convictions. In this rapidly changing post-Roe America, our job remains the same. To restore a culture of life, to restore the sanctity of life to the center of American law.
Restore a culture of life. Restore the sanctity of life to the center of American law. Echoing the culture of death lie that IVF is just a fertility treatment does not restore a culture of life. Being in favor of keeping IVF legal can never restore the sanctity of life to the center of American law. IVF is part of the culture of death. Yet Mike Pence is pretending he can just include it within a culture of life. I guess he thinks because he's used it many times, that makes it morally okay.
First and foremost, we should recognize that the cause of life is a moral cause, but it's also a national cause. And we must work, each and every one of us, to fight to elect men and women in the Congress and in state houses around the country that will end the scourge of abortion. Our laws should reflect that unborn babies are human beings owed the full protection and recognition of the law in the country.
Full protection of unborn human beings would mean outlawing IVF, which directly, intentionally kills innocent human beings. Look, this whole thing on Saturday night in Naples with Pence and Hawkins was an absolute farce. Out of the courage of our convictions, we have to shine a light on this hypocrisy, call it out for what it is, and refuse to go along with it. IVF is not pro-life. And for Kristan Hawkins and leaders at Students for Life to be saying that they're against IVF and at the same time propping up Mike Pence as a pro-life hero while he's in favor of IVF is to gravely minimize the value of the lives of those innocent children being treated like things, like possessions, like property, and who are being directly intentionally killed by IVF. It's scandalous and it's wrong, and every one of their members and supporters, of which I consider myself, ought to say so. And let's not minimize the influence that Students for Life has. That's why this is such a big deal. David B. Wright, who was the MC on Saturday, described the power of Students for Life in the intro of the event.
Students for Life has grown from a small organization to rapidly become a powerhouse pro-life advocacy organization and to become the voice of the pro-life generation. Today it drives the narrative for the pro-life movement as an organization and has powerful reach and success that is recognized across the entire pro-life movement.
The voice of a generation drives the narrative for the pro-life movement. All right, he exaggerates a little bit, but they are, as an organization, one of the major groups within the pro-life movement. And Kristan Hawkins is, as the leader of Students for Life, a major figure within the movement. Let's call on Kristan and the leadership of Students for Life to do much better. We urge you, for the good of all, to publicly call on Mike Pence to change his position on IVF to the pro-life position, and henceforth truly be steadfast, courageous, and unapologetic for life. Again, this is Jim Havens, co-founder of the Men's March, themensmarch.com. God bless you.